BMW has been making electric cars now for longer than most legacy manufacturers, and frankly they're bloody good at it. I mean, the i3 is still one of my favourite modern day cars. However, is there room in the world right now for a humongous executive electric saloon car which has got a mind-blowing cabin, even has its own rear cinema system? Is this the poster car for the TikTok-y tech nerds who know nothing about aesthetic design? Well, that's what I really want to find out. That is the new BMW i7, whose face shall not be revealed. I'm Jonny Smith, you're watching The Late Break Show. This episode is proudly supported by Blackcircles.com, the UK's largest online tyre retailer, providing a comprehensive click and fit service. There, that's a more flattering angle. In fact, that is the most flattering angle to the i7. But what is the i7 exactly? Well, it's BMW's flagship electric saloon. So it's not better than the 760, the Piston 7 Series flagship. In fact, they've tactfully kept the power levels of the 760 in this the same. It's just an alternative offering. It is a bloody huge car. That is 5.4 metres long. I'll put the dimensions above. It is bigger than all of its competitors. It is not available as an extended wheelbase because it's already massive. This is bigger than the main rival, which is the Mercedes EQS, which I'll talk a lot more about when we talk about the other features of this. Twin electric motors, so 563 horsepower, and it's X-drive, which means obviously all-wheel drive. You've got 549 pounds-feet of torque, which is 745 newton meters. Wow, that's big. 105.7 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery in that. Bloody hell, that's big. Of which is usable 101.7 kilowatt-hours. Big old battery. WLTP range of about 380 miles. So although that is big, that range, the usable range does come in lower than its competitors. Mercedes EQS, as I mentioned, and the Lucid Air Touring, a car which I haven't yet driven, but I think looks on paper and in pictures an incredible offering. So yeah, BMW's tactically kept the i7 as identical horsepower as that 760. This will do 0 to 62 in 4.7, which is not as quick as things like the Model S Tesla, and it's actually not as quick as the AMG EQS. But it'll do the standing quarter mile in 12.5 seconds, which is bastard fast, let me tell you, especially when it weighs 2.7 tons. It is a big, heavy steel car. Remember, and I should have said this earlier, this car's brother is the BMW iX, the all-new iX, which is the SUV flagship electric vehicle. I have done a review on that. I'll put it above my head. It's an appalling looking car that's beautifully engineered and really quiet to drive. I'm keen to know whether there's more of that in this, because this fundamentally shares its underpinnings with the iX, which looks like a beaver. BMW i7's front end. Now, we've pixelated this because some viewers might find it offensive. It's taken me several weeks to make eye contact with it, but I still prefer not to. The main highlights or features of the i7's front end, it has split headlight design. There's a light at the top and then there's a light burrowed in down below. They're LEDs. You can also get Swarovski crystal optional headlights. The lights are really good actually. This particular version has a blacked out grille front end which covers most of the sins, but not enough for me to reveal them to you. The huge kidney beans, which you can't miss, they're not beans, they're bins, kidney bins, are active. The cooling can open and close for optimum aero. And there's also little slits down the side to guide air around the car. Talking of which, the aero is surprisingly good. 0.24 coefficient, drag coefficient, which is actually really good considering it's very slab fronted. I mean, it's not as good as the Mercedes EQS, which is 0.20, but that looks like a soap bar. I don't want to look at it anymore. This is what it's all about in the i7. Back here is so impressive on many levels. It is a limousine, albeit a standard wheelbase limousine, if you will. I've got the blinds all pulled to on the ceiling and everything, and then you've got the home cinema system, which comes down from the ceiling. I use this iPad controller that's in the door to control my massage seats. I can adjust my seats. In fact, this seat can go quite far out, like a kind of like business class flight seat. That seat will go forward in a minute, I think. So I can get myself settled in with this beautiful soft cushion. It is gorgeous. I've been in S-classes with those. And then I can go to the main event, which is, of course, the theatre. Well, look at the size of that. That can adjust. It's slightly curved, I think, and you really are in a 40-speaker Bowers & Wilkins surround sound experience with an 8K television. I think it's over 30 inches. The blinders come down behind me, so if I'm watching it at night, I don't distract people following me. This is all optional, by the way. You can order it as a normal 3 abreast rear seat with no tech, but really, put it this way. I brought this home and I showed my 11-year-old this. He now thinks it's the coolest car in the world, bar none, despite the fact that I think the front end looks appalling. He doesn't care. It's all about this. Really good legroom. And this is the thing where it trumps the EQS, because I get in an EQS, the floor's too high, and it just doesn't have that S-Class feeling, whereas this genuinely feels like they've got the seat and the floor position right, which is impressive given that this floor pan is shared with a piston and an electric car. And there's a bloody great battery down there that's over 105 kilowatt hours. Loads of USB-Cs. You can see these great seats, they're kind of tapered, and they've got the wood inserts in the side. They are designer looking, like a barber chair in some ways. And then down here you've got, oh, where is it actually? No, down here, the armrest, found this, wireless charging like the several options are at the front. Under here, you've got a couple of more USB-Cs, and then you press, I think it's this button, yeah, place to put your, your milkshake and your popcorn, something like that. It genuinely feels special. I know this car is not really all about the performance, because compared to its peers, it's a slower car, but it's all relative. We're getting a bit carried away with the whole like performance figures. I mean, you start fiddling around with this thing and you can easily, there we go, my modes, stick it in sport mode, everything goes dark and moody, right? But watch. See what I mean? 4.7, I think that is. It's quick. This thing's 2.7 tons. It's not slow. I know it's not 2.5 seconds like some of the Lucids and maybe the Teslas of the world, but it's doing all right. I really think it's doing all right. Honestly, this is where it gets exciting for me. This car is all about the cabin. And although back there is where people who buy it want to sit and I guess be chauffeur driven if they're that kind of person. Chinese market, for example, typically the owners will be back there. Doesn't mean that up here the experience has suffered. Because what really surprised me about the i7 within a short time of living with it this week is it's a bloody good driver's car. Spookily good. The rivals of the i7, I'd love to say there was a Rolls-Royce and a Bentley, but in the electric sector, neither of those have a full electric offering yet. Therefore, this has got to be a consideration for those kind of owners. Plus, the Mercedes EQS, that really is the direct contender. There's a reason why I've never reviewed the EQS Mercedes on this late break show. And the reason is, I booked one in and I drove it and I found it to be massively disappointing. In fact, it offended me in places. One, it's supposed to be an electric S-Class, and yet the ride, I don't know, it just wasn't there. The seating position in the back wasn't there. It didn't have that S-Class feel that they've spent decades achieving. 2, it looks like a melted waxwork of itself. I know it's incredibly efficient, and also the range is better than this, but it just doesn't have any road presence, the EQS, and it ought to. It has a sort of floppy bum. So that I wasn't keen on, but the most crucial thing that properly frightened me about the EQS were the brakes. The brakes were terrifying, dangerously bad. I nearly had 2 big offs, and I wasn't even pressing on hard. It just had no brakes, which is all very un-Mercedes, I think. Yet here we are in the i7, a car where the 7 Series, bar steering feel, has rarely been a better car than the S-Class, I don't think, as a limousine Luxo shuttle, very rarely. But here I am sitting in the i7, and I can tell you now, because I've done a good 300 or 400 miles in it, the steering is good. The quietness is like a closed library. It's so quiet in here. It's a double glazed temple of serenity. It's incredible. I'm so impressed with it. The comfort, it's that combination of ride and handling, and we'll come up to some twisty roads in a minute, because it actually handles well. The ride's incredible and the handling's incredible. I like the profile, as I said, of the i7. It's simple, it's uncluttered, it's relatively handsome. These door handles, same as the BMW iX, its SUV brother, they're sort of flush and they're burrowed in. So there's a little touch sensitive pad on the back, and you press that button there to lock it if you've got the key in your pocket, which is all fine. But I do worry about dirt sitting in there and living in there, which makes it a bit icky. Now there are 3 different wheel options on the BMW i7, different diameters, and depending on which one you option, it will or can affect the WLTP range of the car, which I'll put above me. 19s, 20s, or these, the flagship M Sport 21s. This is on what? 255 40 21s. When it comes to tyres, when you need to replace them for your car, go on the blackcircles.com website.
Enter your vehicle registration number and your postcode, and then you'll find the most suitable tyres for your car and your budget. There are thousands of reviews of different tyres from real customers to help you choose the best tyres for your car. And with the Blackcircles Click and Fit service, with over 2,000 tyre fitting partners, there will be a garage or a mobile tyre fitter conveniently located near you.
To give it its full name, the BMW i7 xDrive 60 has a back end that I think looks cheaper than a 3 Series. But down here, obviously you've got cutouts like a diffuser cutout where exhaust would be if it was a 7 Series. And there are loads of little blue highlights throughout, which is a common thing on BMW's i series of cars to represent blue cleanliness, clean air car. And there's a little bit of a lip spoiler, but apart from that, I don't really care. What I do care about is this. Now, if you remember back to when saloon cars were like common family cars, although they're a shallow entry point, this is so wide and so deep. That's a 500 litre boot, which is actually smaller than its competitors like the Model S Tesla, the EQS Mercedes, but it is identical literage to the BMW iX SUV. So when you, as a person that buys SUVs, go, I'm buying an SUV because I want a bigger boot, not always the case. In fact, the iX has got a rubbish shaped boot. I'd say you get more in that. And there's a cubby down there for all your cableage, which you need because it's an electric car. So I'm actually really impressed with that boot space. It's a shame it's not a hatch. The EQS Mercedes does win on that front. It's got over 110 litres more than this. Right, first of all, you fold down your theatre screen, and then it says, please close the rear blind. Well, it's already done it for me. And then I can go to here to blinds, and I can control independently all the blinds, or I can just close them all. And of course that one can't close because there's a camera on the window. And this one won't be able to close because it's going to hit that. like that. And this is touchscreen partially. And then when it's kind of runs out, and I don't know why it is, but when it sort of runs out of talent, you have to then use your little iPad thing on the door pocket, which works most of the time. This now will not, I don't think this will work as a barn find, as a touchscreen. Let's just see. So I'm going to go to that. By the way, we're doing it on the move because we've been getting patchy 4G signal in order to demonstrate this. And besides, I do actually want to ride in the back of the car. I've sat in it and played around with it, but I want to know what it's really like. There's only one way to demonstrate that. To get a videographer, Matty, to do it. By the way, my seats, I've adjusted my seat position with the sort of ottoman out a bit, which is cool. And also, yeah, there we go, look. I can bring that out. And I can go into massage mode. There's numerous things, but I've gone for pelvic activation. Don't judge me. And yeah, the level of intensity is a little bit high. That's going for it. But now we'll go back to, it takes a bit of getting used to this. I have to say, to set this up to work has been a bit of a 2-hour ball ache, 2.5, 3-hour ball ache, but apparently I'm an exception to the rule. Everyone else has had no problem doing it. But I'm not the most technical person in the world, and I doubt you watch the Late Break Show for me demonstrating all of the tech. And unfortunately, this is what happens in the real world. I've had the surround sound working amazingly. It's incredible. We come to demonstrate it on camera, and it seems to have muted itself. Doesn't matter what settings I press, it doesn't work. When it works amazingly well. And I can enjoy these really high quality YouTube videos that this guy does to the best quality possible. And honestly, the seat position, the comfort here is wonderful. At night, this panoramic roof has these kind of intensity neon strands which move around and they're active. It is really cool. I can't decide whether I'd tire of it or not. But I do liken it to when the Maybach came out and the car was absolutely fugly on the outside, but on the inside it was just sensational, drenched in luxury, and it did feel like first-class transport, and I guess that's what this is about, right? Right, so I go into here, search, Late Break Show, okay. That's the first video I ever did. Yeah, reviewing the Honda E in an absolutely lethal storm. Unforgettable, but there's still no volume. And it won't let me play the volume. Hey BMW, turn the volume up.
No source available.
Why is there no source? You absolute stroker. Hey BMW. Hey BMW. I hate you.
That's harsh, but I'll try to deal with it.
Can you just deal with sorting this surround sound out? It says it's on, but why isn't it on? Yeah, unfortunately I can't show you what it's like to watch Netflix and Amazon Prime, which are all preloaded in, and BBC iPlayer, because I'd have to pay for the rights for such things. So you've got to settle for this loser here, doing some poxy YouTube channel. But rest assured, this 31 point something inch 8K screen, the Bowers & Wilkins, some 40 speakers, the amazing amount of legroom, I mean really impressive legroom, the sculpted out seats, so this kind of artisan looking chairs in front. There is a lot to appreciate in the back of an i7. And remember, every minute you spend inside the i7 is another minute that you're not looking at an i7 externally. And that's a valuable thing to consider. This is touchscreen on the side here. Audio. Speakers. Oh my gosh. I've got it to work. This is the problem with it though. There's like 4 different speaker settings and they don't all seem to be interlinked. Right, let's try that again, shall we? Fire TV. Go. So here we are. I've looked up this really fascinating Late Break Show, a YouTube channel that I highly recommend. It also means I don't have to pay for the rights to show anything on Netflix or anything on Amazon Prime, which you can get. It's all there. I'll show it to you in a second.
This isn't a Tesla, in Spain, in a biblical rainstorm. Come join me.
The sound on this, the surround sound, listen to it. Don't know if you're getting this. It even has bass drivers.
This is probably the longest I've ever waited to drive a finished production EV from when I first saw it as a concept. First saw it in 2017. It came out of the Frankfurt Motor Show. A show normally dominated by the Germans, let's face it, and this thing just absolutely destroyed everything around it. All of the column inches, all of the social media was about the urban EV concept.
This is what you buy an i7 for, I kid you not. If this doesn't interest you, and interior fit and finish, and all these different mood lights and trinkets and okay, slightly vulgar, jingle jangle cut glass controls, but at the same time, I shouldn't like it, but it all pulls together in a very appealing internal package. The external package just looks like you're wearing a fancy dress Minecraft Comic-Con suit, which is sad really, because it didn't need to look that ugly. The i7 ticks those two tasks well with a diploma. Even the little blinds, it cocoons you. You've created your own slightly seedy palace. I wouldn't recommend, although I have done it, while I've been charging this car at a public rapid charge station, I've been sat in the back watching stuff, but there's lots of lights and mood lights. It can give off the wrong impression in the corner of a dark British car park. That's all I'm going to say. Just tread carefully. Theatre, fold away. They say you should never judge a book by its cover. And this is one of those cars, because I'm still not going to show you the front of it, because nobody deserves to see that. But what's amazing about the i7, it's pretty much trumped all of its competitors with the way it drives, the way it rides, and all that techno-fest going on in there, which is incredible. The thing is, it makes me wonder, would I buy one of these before trying a Lucid Air Touring? No. Would I buy one of these above a Mercedes EQS? Yeah, most definitely. But could I live with the car with an Angry Birds face like that? Or under that? The answer is, for me, probably not. But it'd be nice to wait for one to get crashed so you could remodel it properly. What do you think? Am I being extra harsh? One thing I would say is BMW engineers, well done. It's a really, really great piece of engineering this, and it's taken me by surprise. Thanks for watching this episode of The Late Break Show. I do EVs at least once a month with my reviews, and I'll put the EV playlist somewhere above my head. If you want to become a patron and support the channel this way, you'll get early access to videos and you'll get blogs from me. I'll put a link in the description for that. Subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. And we have merchandise. You can buy some Late Break Show merch. Have a look again in the description. You can go straight to our e-shop. Thank you. No, don't look at it.